When I was about 21 years old, I lived alone. It was a quiet night, so I left the window open without thinking. My apartment was on the first floor, but there was a net in the window that was not easy to remove. I thought my neighborhood was safe enough that I didn't have to worry about such things. That night, something terrible happened. I woke up to the smell of smoke. In the darkness, I reached out to turn on the lamp, but instead, my hand touched something warm and alive. A person. My heart raced as I realized there was a shirtless man in my room, smoking and looking directly at me. I yelled for him to leave, which must have scared him as much as it scared me because he jumped out the window and ran away. After he left, I quickly closed the window and pulled the bookcase over to block it. The next morning, I saw the window netting lying on the ground outside. I couldn't sleep that night, and from then on, I never left the window open more than a slit. I also promised myself never to live on the first floor again. I still don't know if he came to steal from me or what he had in mind, but the fear I felt was real. I still shudder at the thought that it could have happened earlier, and I didn't notice anything. It was truly a night of terror. I am now 16 and live in a halfway house with my family. This includes my 3 younger brothers, all under the age of 5, my older sister who is 18, and our parents. About 3 years ago, when we lived in another apartment, I found myself alone for the day. This was common because my dad worked during the summer. Mom took the kids to activities, such as going to the pool. I usually slept late and had a few chores that needed to be done before everyone got back. One of those chores was laundry. Our building had about 20 apartments on each floor, and we all shared the same laundry room. My building was only a few steps away from it, and on the way I had to walk past a stairwell door that had a small window in it. I was moving clothes from the washer to the dryer when I heard a strange clicking sound. I wasn't sure what it was, but I stopped to listen. Then it stopped. This house always gave me the creeps, and that sound didn't make it any better. I quickly finished with the laundry and started drying. Then, as I was walking back, the clicking started again. I froze in place. The sound seemed to be coming from the stairs. Frightened as I was, I peeked out the window of the stairwell door, but saw nothing. Feeling a little better, I hurried back to my apartment. Once inside, I locked the door and tried to get back to my day. But in this apartment, when it was quiet, you could clearly hear everything. People were talking, footsteps could be heard, laughter, especially in the hallway. And that's where I heard something disturbing. I was in the kitchen feeding my pets when I heard slow, heavy footsteps in the hallway approaching our door. I ran into the living room and turned down the TV sound so I could hear better. Suddenly, there were 3 loud bangs on the door. I was very scared, not knowing what to do next. I left the TV off and crept to the door to peek through the peephole. What I saw made my blood freeze in my veins. There was a dark figure standing just outside the door. I stiffened, not knowing what to do next. Then there was that strange clicking sound again, the same one I had heard before. In a panic, I grabbed my pets and hid in my bedroom. I was really scared, but some part of me started to doubt, thinking that maybe it was just a figment of my imagination. I often listened to scary stories, and maybe I was just scaring myself for no reason. But later that day, when my sister returned, I decided to tell her what had happened. She loves all things strange and mystical. When I told her my story, her face turned pale. She whispered that she had seen a similar dark figure, but always in dark places, never in the light. Another night I was in bed, on the bottom bunk of a bunk bed, and my sister was sleeping upstairs. It was 3:37 a.m. The fan was running, and the nightlight was on. My sister was sound asleep. Again, a soft click was heard, this time coming from under my bed. My cat lying next to me didn't react, which made me think I was just imagining it. But then I saw a thin, dark, and cold hand slowly reaching out from under the bed towards me. I screamed, loud enough to wake my sister, but not loud enough to disturb anyone else. Sleepily, she told me to shut up, wanting to go back to sleep. "But look at it," I insisted. But when I looked again, the shadow was gone. I spent the rest of the night sleepless, afraid to close my eyes. There were many scary moments in that apartment, most of them involving that shadow. Thankfully, nothing weird has happened since we moved in. I'm just glad that whatever it was didn't follow us to our new home. I'm so thankful for that. It was quite late in the evening, and I was alone in my dark little apartment. The lights in the building had gone out, and I had forgotten to buy light bulbs at Lowe's that day. So when night fell, I really berated myself and said I would go straight to the store in the morning to get light bulbs. While I was watching YouTube on my TV in the family room, I was listening to Gordon Ramsay from Hell's Kitchen, which was a really good and funny episode where Gordon was about to pounce on a cook who messed up his food. Anyway, I pressed pause and went to the bathroom. When I came out of the bathroom, I heard strange noises coming from the door. I slowly walked to the door where the sounds were coming from, and I heard a male voice then said, "Listen, this is the house we are going to rob. There's no one here." I gulped and grabbed my phone, and then yelled to the man through the door, "I'm calling the police. Go away." I heard silence, and then the door slammed. I looked out the window and saw a car, which then drove away quickly. I didn't know who the person was, but then it came to me. They must have thought I wasn't home because I had no lights on. I also want to add that I have a friend who was robbed just a month ago. I ended up leaving the TV on all night to create some light so people would know I was home. The next morning, I was awakened by a loud knock on the door. It was our neighbor. He asked if I was okay, to which I replied, yes. He then told me that he had heard voices last night, and he actually heard me say I was going to call the police. He said he saw two men run out into the street and get into a car and then drive away quickly. I was a little freaked out by this. I heard that there had been a robbery a few blocks away where two men had beaten a man into a coma. I'm not sure if the two men were the same ones who were at my house or not, but I'm very glad I never found out, and I'm glad I yelled to them before they broke in and did God knows what and who knows what would have happened. I'm addressing the two men who tried to break into my house. I'm very glad you didn't accomplish what you had planned. Stay safe out there, guys, and watch your back.